So we're reading about the treasure. What is the format of this chapter? What way is it written? It is written as an interview. Who is being interviewed? Hafiz, contractor. Who is interviewing him? Bela Raja is the interviewer. How can an interview help us gather information about a person? How is an interview a way of collecting information? By asking questions. Yes. And it all depends on the kinds of questions we ask. So when we are conducting an interview, questions are very, very important. The kinds of question you will have to ask to get the kind of information you want, right, Dia? Yes. So you have to ask, you want to learn about someone's childhood, or you want to learn about their hard work, you want to learn about their achievements, right? So health secrets or fitness tips and all, about sports person we want to know. So we will ask the questions, relevant questions. So questions are a very, very important part of an interview. So when you listen to interviews and the questions, they have to be interesting also. So people would like to read the interview, people would like to watch the interview or listen to the interview, isn't it? Right? So yes, so what have we learned about Hafiz contractor so far? What have we learned about him? He was a casual person. Was he interested in studies? No. So he was casual, or you can say he was quite careless. He did not have much interest in studies, right? But he became, why was he being interviewed? Because he was careless and casual. Then why was he being interviewed? We don't go around anybody. Nobody stops me in the middle of the road. Okay, I want to take your interview. Do they do that? No. So you have to have some kind of an achievement to yourself, right? So that people will want to know about you. So what was his achievement? What was Hafiz contractor's achievement? What was his achievement? He was a very famous architect. I discussed that day. What do architects do? They design buildings, right? And here he is a very different kind of an architect. So we'll know that how he's a different kind of an architect. How he's not like an ordinary architect. Okay, measurement you take and you draw this building. This is where you want it. This is how high it should be. And this is how many floors and rooms and all. But he takes more interest about the person who's there, the kind of routine they want to have, the kind of life they have. So he makes buildings accordingly, right? So Hafiz contractor is a famous architect, and that is why he's being interviewed, right? So if he was very casual and careless, how did he become successful then? There must have been a change in his life. There was a turning point in his life. Yes? When did that turning point come? When did that turning point come? Yes, when the principal told him that, see, I can't take care of you now. And how did he pass all his exams till class 11th? How did he pass all his exams? By copying, yes, by cheating. He would manage to get the question paper. So he was like that, right? And then his principal said, now I can't take care of you. And what else did he tell him? What else did he realize? That his mother worked so hard, right? So she's working so hard, and so that you can continue with your studies. And if you want to carry on like this, it is your wish, because now I can't take care of you. Then what did he do? He stopped playing and he would just eat and study. And he managed to get 50% marks. And that was very good for him, because a person who never studied, he's reached from, you can say, 0 to 50 with his own efforts. No cheating, no copying. So he can do wonders. Okay, so let us find out that what made Hafiz contractor successful. So, like, of course, I was discussing the other day also that I discussed about the movie Tare Zameen Par, isn't it? Right? That how not everybody is there, so intelligent. Everyone has different learning abilities. Everyone is there, like in a classroom of 40 students, if we have, we'll have so many of them having a different way of learning. Some are very quick. Some have to read again and again, right? So here also, so he was there. Of course, he was an intelligent person, but he did not like to study. This much we have realized. And in, yes, so like, yeah, Vedanti, yes. So so that person there, the little boy, look at him when he got proper attention, how he blossomed, how he started studying also, how he was such a good artist also, isn't it? So yeah, so we need to understand that everyone has a talent. We have to just push them. And he got that push from his principal, right? So, okay, so can we continue the chapter? Yes, let's continue. What is happening to my screen? It stopped. How were the teachers during those times? Were they lenient or were they strict? They were strict. Okay. And what kind of punishments would they get? Yeah, they would get a caning. It must have been so painful. Yes. And what else was there that we know that Hafiz contractor was a very naughty boy? What was it that he did in the class one day? He created a distraction, right? The teacher had to go out, and then in the meantime, everyone is playing chore police. What fun they must have had. But we should not, follow such kind of examples. Now let's start here. We're going to read about his work, about how he became an architect. Okay. So let's start with the second part. Have you opened your books? All of you opened to page 28? Yes. How did you get into the field of architecture? In the college for architecture, nobody who had got below 80 to 85% was allowed to enter. So like nowadays, like we have entrance exam and how difficult those entrance exams are. You qualify, then you get admission to a higher institute. So during that time, so there were many institutes that they would take percentage. So 80, 85, and how much did he get? He got 50, right? I had only 50%. I wanted to join the army. I got my admission letter, but my aunt tore it up. Then I decided that I wanted to join the police force. My mother said, don't join the police force. Just do your graduation. So after his, you can say his senior school, he wanted to go maybe the police or the army, but so his mother was not interested. He said, you finish your studies first. Okay. So I went to Jai Hind College in Mumbai. It's quite a reputed college, quite a famous college now. There I was to either take French or German. Though I had studied French for 7 years, I did not know 7 words of French. So when he decided to go to Jai Hind College for further studies, he had to take French or German. He had been taught these subjects in class, but he did not know more than 7 words. Because did he learn? Did he study? No, he never was interested. So I took German. Then my German teacher died. The college told me that I could change the college or take French. Now, who would give me admission in another college? I had got admission to Jai Hind by influence. By influence means by someone, recommending him, by someone telling that please give him admission. So now how is he going to get admission in another college? He had only 50% marks. How is he going to get admission there? Right? Yes, all of you, you're supposed to bring your books. Okay. Right? So I thought, okay, I will take French. So if I don't have to study because the German teacher died, he had to take French. So he decided I can't leave this college. Who's going to take me with 50%? Said, okay, fine, I'll take French. And I started learning French again. I learned it from my cousin. She was an architect's wife. So her cousin was there. She taught him French. And the cousin's husband was an architect. I was going to an architect's office to learn French. So his wife would be there and she would teach him French in the office. Was it then that you decided you wanted to do architecture? You went to Jain College, you were doing your graduation, and naturally architecture is entirely different. So when did you do that? Actually, it all happened quite by chance. In the architect's office, I saw somebody drawing a window detail. A window detail is a very advanced drawing, right? So you think, when the architect puts up everything there and drawing the windows with all the details, right? So it's a very advanced drawing. I told him that his drawing was wrong, that the window he had drawn would not open. What does that mean? Yes, so there's a mistake in the drawing, so he would not be able to open the window. And what is the use of the window if you can't open it? So that means there's something wrong. There's a big mistake. He then had a bet with me. And later he found that indeed his drawing was wrong. So he said, okay, fine, I'm an architect. I know what I'm doing. I can have a bet with you. Right? So he took a bet, but later on he lost the bet. Very surprised to learn that he had made a wrong drawing. My cousin's husband was surprised. Cousin's husband was an architect. He was very surprised. He asked me to draw a few specific things, which I immediately did. He said, okay, draw these things. And he drew them immediately. He asked me to design a house, and I designed a house. After that, he told me to drop everything and join architecture. You're doing the wrong course. Why are you doing this graduation? You should do architecture. Look at you. You're so good at drawing. And you have an understanding also. See, even that person who is there, an architect, he could not find his own mistake, window. You could find that mistake, right? We went to the principal of the college. The principal warned me, I will allow you to take part in the entrance exams, but if you do not do well, I will not allow you to join. So if I will take your entrance exam, obviously if you clear the exam, you can join. I got an A+ in the entrance exam, and from that day it was a cakewalk because he realized I have an interest in this. So he studied hard, he did well in the test, and he got an A+. And after that, it was a cakewalk. What does cakewalk mean? Yes? Yes, something that is easy, right? So cakewalk, no problem at all. What was his school days? Was a cakewalk or not? No, it was definitely not a cakewalk. Right. I had never made a plan, but I knew how something looked like from the top. Plan of the house or the building, but he knew what it looked like, right? From the top, this is how it should be. I had never known what a section was, but if I knew if you could cut a plan, what it would look like. So he knew what a building looked like from the top, but he did not know what a section was. So when you see architects, or when they come and show you the plan, this is the plan of your house, they will show a section of it. This is where the room is, this is where the kitchen is, the lobby and all that. So they make a drawing of that, isn't it? Right? So he said, yeah, but if you cut it, that would make it a section. So very simple logic he had. I stood first class first throughout after that. First class first. Like he said, he got a 50%. He didn't get a distinction. He did not even get a first class. So above 60%. And that too, first class first. Maybe above 65 or 60, like he got always. Okay. I believe that all this understanding came from what I used to play and during school. So during his play, whatever he did and whatever he thought, that I've learned it from there only, right? I had a friend called Behram Divecha. We used to have competitions between us for designing forts, guns, and ammunition. This is how his drawing was so good. And because his drawing was so good, he had an accurate idea, right? Designing forts. Forts for? What are forts meant for? for guarding, like, yeah, for the guarding the palace and all, you have fort around it. You have this whole structure around it. Designing guns, different kinds of guns. And you should understand how it's going to work also. This gun, why is it better than that gun? Ammunition, like, of course, all the arms and ammunition that you need for the gun. Each of us would design something in an effort to be different. See, little things that he learned. So you are good at drawing and you have been drawing something in particular. So whether it is about flowers, or you're painting a landscape, or you're making dresses, or you're designing what you can say, tables and chairs, whatever. There is scope for everything. See, this naughty boy, he was good at art. And he loved to draw all those things. That made him a good architect. Okay, right. In school, when I was in second or third, one of my teachers, Mrs. Gupta, saw my sketches and told me, see, you're useless in everything else, but your sketches are good. When you grow up, you become an architect. I did not know at that time, but she was right. Later, after I became an architect, I went back to meet and tell her, what are the other things you can become if you are a good artist? What else can you become if you're a good artist? Not only an architect, what else can you become? Designing cars, okay. Interior designing, okay. You know how colors and things there. What else? Yes? Designing, you can become a fashion designer. Yes? What else can you become if? Designing aeroplanes. So you can become, like, do you know you can also make drawings in books also? You can become an illustrator. Yes? So what about the crockery that you see? Some crockeries have lovely borders. Doing that also. Right? So artists, the variety of artists here, the work of an artist is so vast. Right? It is not only for recreation now. And nowadays, yeah, we have people teaching others how to draw and paint, and that is also there. Everyone is going in for all these hobby classes. Nowadays, you have handmade cards, right? You have invitation cards, which are made, handmade ones also. So there's a lot of things you can do if you are a good artist, right? So it is not necessary that you were a good artist, but you could not pursue that field. You can carry on with that artwork also, right? And if you're doing something that you like, are you ever going to feel bored? No, you're not going to feel bored. You're going to enjoy what you're doing, isn't it? Right? Why do you think you did not like studies? Was it because you felt you could not cope? Could you not deal with the curriculum? Now he's saying you were such a good artist, right? You're so mischievous. And yes, if you had to study, you could. Then why you didn't like school? What's wrong about school? So now let's see what he did not like about school. I was very bad at languages. So as he said, he studied French for 7 years and he didn't even know 7 words, right? So he's bad at languages. Science and geography, I could deal with. Maths was very bad. But don't you think architects need maths? Architects need maths? Yes, of course. When you're going to divide that space into rooms and things like that, you need maths and lots of advanced maths maybe. So maybe he developed an interest later on. Yes. I was very bad. Science, I was not just interested. I was studying for the sake of studying because I have to pass. I need my certificate. What they taught me today, I would forget after 2 days. I would not bother because there was no application of mind there to begin with. Please underline this. You can take this paragraph here. Maybe if you want to change something about our education system, instead of just learning, let us apply. Right? If I give you a problem, if I just taught a concept also, I want you to apply that concept. Then maybe you will remember it, isn't it? Right? So of course, if I'm doing an interview, if I ask you to conduct an interview, ask questions, make a recording of it, prepare your questions. So you will realize, okay, it is a very, very important form of what you can say, what correspondence also, right? Reporting also, right? So application, little things here that maybe what you're doing in your sciences also, if you're actually applying them, you're doing these little experiments at home and you're actually observing things around you, right? So it becomes more interesting and you never forget it, right? So this is what he said, that they were just making us learn, and they were not applying. So application is very, very important. So we need to do application also. Did you think that what they taught in school was boring? Or did you feel that once you understood the concept of what was being taught, you lost interest in the rest of the lesson? Okay, this is the concept, I've understood the lesson, now no need for me to study more. Does it happen? But you know, basic concept is something, but as you go on learning more and more, you learn that that was just the little thing of it. There's so many things that needs to be added to that concept, isn't it? Right? And sometimes we don't study only, we think our concepts are clear. What's the need to study? Does it happen? I know the concepts. I know these are the concepts of science. I know these are the concepts of maths. I know these are the rules of English grammar. Why should I study? But you need to practice. Yes, you need to practice. Living in a boarding school is different. We were just living from day to day. What's a boarding school? Yes, what's a boarding school? You're not allowed to live with your family. You're living away from your family. It's a residential school, right? So you spend your days over there, and after that you're in the hostel, right? And you have to have a lot of responsibility. You have to study there, and yes, so many things. It is a hostel. Boarding school is like that. You know, you have your classes, and then you have to live with other boys and other girls who are studying there. Yes? You have to wake up early in the morning. At home, we don't want to wake up early to get ready to school. No, right? But nowadays it's online. But otherwise, you had to wake up early to come to school. Yes. And what else there? What else do you think makes a boarding school different? What makes boarding school different? There is no comfort. No comfort. Comfort as in? You have to work hard there. Okay, you have a very strict schedule. Yes, you have a strict timetable and you have to follow that. So, and in fact, there's time for everything. You will study also, you will play also, right? You might have music lessons also, you might do community service also, you'll be out gardening also, right? So many things that you learn. And I think the biggest thing that we learn you're in a boarding school is your sense of responsibility. Mummy is not going to run after you with the plate. Okay, have your food, and okay, now take this with you, your sandwich or your paratha to school, and you can have it on the way. No, you don't. You miss your breakfast, you miss it. Yes? Discipline is there, right? So it is very, very important that we have this. Okay? Right? So yes, so we were just living from day to days. Nowadays, there are so many tests. Back then, whenever we had tests, we used to copy. The teacher thought that we had done our work. So he thought that, okay, fine, we used to live there from day to day and tests were there and we used to just copy. That is what he did throughout the school, right? And he was in a boarding school. Well, okay, there is a contention that giftedness and learning disabilities go hand in hand. Do you think this applies to you? You were gifted in art, but you had a difficulty in learning. So do you think they go hand in hand, they go together? So someone who is good at art might not necessarily be good in studies. No, not necessary. It is possible both the things can be there, right? But it can be, yes, that the person with the learning disability who's not able to learn science and maths, right, could be good in something else. Isn't it? Creativity there, artwork, craft work, maybe sports even, right? So it is not necessarily that both of them go hand in hand. Now here, what do you think? What was the giftedness that he had? What was the gift that he had? Art. And what was the learning disability that he had? He was not interested in studies. It was not that he had a problem. The problem was his lack of interest. Okay. Well, take some students from my class. Those who always stood first or second are today doing very ordinary jobs. Quite possible. Quite possible. Because they were always focusing on learning. They did not understand the concepts. So when it came to entrance exams and everything, so it was difficult for them to apply. And they did not do well. Right? So they did not get a good college or a good institute. I have come across this situation in so many different places where people tell me that their class toppers are doing very ordinarily today. Most of the cases, yes. Not always, right? In school, I think living our lives, they made us street smart because he was in a boarding school. He was smart. He knew how to handle difficult situations. He knew how to deal with the problems in life. I have learned more by doing what I did on my own than what academics would have taught me. He said, I was alone and I was there in the boarding school. I learned so many things over there. Maybe if I had been at home, I would not have learned them, right? Because I would have been there. My parents would have been taking care of me and all my needs would have been met. There I had to struggle very hard. So I became very disciplined also. I became, of course, more confident. This is because the personality and skills were there. You were able to find expression in a manner you were comfortable with. And you defied every rule so that nobody would stop you from doing what you needed to do. So he said that was because you were quite confident and you knew what you wanted. And you did not care what others thought about you. You did not want to study, you copied, right? You did not want to study, you created disturbance in the class. Right? So he says that maybe your personality was like that and made you so confident. I was more interested in other things. If, for example, while in class, it started raining outside. What do you do if it starts raining outside and you're in the classroom? Wow, a noise and everything, isn't it? Right? So what did he do? He said when it was raining, I would think of the flowing water and how to build a dam to block it. So he would think about these things. You see, the water is flowing, so much water being wasted. And if I could stop that water, right? Building a dam, right? And yes, that was my interest for the day. So he said, like when it was raining, I would not think of chai and pakoras and things like that. I would think, let's stop this water and how it could be stopped. When students lost a button while playing or fighting, they would come running to me. And I would cut a button for them from chalk using a blade because they were in the boarding school. Uniform had to be perfect. So if they were fighting or playing and they lost a button, they would get a scolding, they would get punishment. So they went to him that, what am I going to do now? Find a button for me. What would he do? Like from this chalk, he would cut it with a razor, make the perfect circle, right? I would cut a button for them from chalk using a blade. Discipline in the school was very important and no student could afford to have a button missing. The student would get past dinner with a full neat uniform and after that it did not matter. So for that day they needed the button, right? So they just paste that button over there, the chalk button. They would get their dinner and then afterwards, they would get their button sewed on. So the day would pass without punishment. So that means he was quite smart. Yeah, very smart also. And he was quite innovative coming up with these kind of ideas. Right, now look at this complex designed by Hafiz contractor. This is one of the buildings that he has designed, right? Take a look at it, please. Okay, I think so we'll continue tomorrow. Any doubts, any questions you have? Anyone has any doubts, any questions?